Okay, well, Mom, I'm so excited to have you here today at our Ready for Kindergarten lesson at our branch. We are going to focus on this wonderful book called Goodnight Moon. That is a perfect book for a little one, the little one that you have for their age. This book is we're using it for children who are 0 to 18 months old. So this is perfect for your 4-month-old. And I'm going to be focusing on some really important skills you can teach your child as we go through this book. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about them now and why we're focusing on them. And then I'll just really want you to pay attention as I'm going through the book so that we can review them and talk about them after I'm finished talking to you about them. So have you ever read this book before? Yeah, it's a great book. It is a book that can offer your child lots and lots of really important information. We are going to, again, focus on things that are really going to help get your little one prepared and ready for kindergarten. Although they're only 4 months old, now is the time to really start providing them with these skills. If you're able to give them lots of really great things through a book, they're going to be much more prepared when they enter the kindergarten classroom. There's lots of things that kids need to know to be ready for kindergarten these days. So one thing that we're going to focus on are color words. When kids enter kindergarten, they need to know the names of all of their colors. So that's really important to start giving that vocabulary to your baby now. Then that means by the time they become a preschooler, they will have heard these color words for a long period of time. So there's lots of green and yellow and this red-orange color throughout the book. So after you've read this book to them, blue, exactly, that's there too. That's great, thank you for pointing that out. By the time you're done reading this book to them many times, your 4-month-old will have heard the color words green, yellow, blue, and orange multiple times. That is really setting them up for success when they go to kindergarten and need to know those words. We are going to focus some on the names of familiar objects in this book. There are lots of pictures of objects that you would find in your own home. So those are perfect first vocabulary words to give to your baby. We also know that the more vocabulary you give to your child, the more success they will have with reading when they go into kindergarten. The more words they know and have in their head in their own vocabulary, the easier it will be for them to read new words that are brand new vocabulary words for them when they're reading on their own. We're also going to focus a lot on rhyming. There's tons of rhyming that happens in this book, and rhyming is such an important skill. It is so important to start doing that now. Again, even if your baby is only 4 months old, rhyming is a huge indicator of how well your child is going to be able to read in kindergarten. If they understand those patterns, that there are groups of words that sound the same, then they'll really be able to have more success in sounding out words themselves when they start to read on their own in kindergarten. And again, even though your baby's only 4 months old, we're also going to talk about a little bit about the names of letters and the sounds that those letters make. Letter knowledge, understanding the names of letters, and then the sounds that go with them is something that a child needs to know going into kindergarten. So they need to know that before they even enter the classroom. And that is also an indicator of how successful they will be with reading. If they know their letters and they know the sounds, then when they get to a word, they're going to be able to sound out that word on their own. So it's really great to start giving them that skill right now. And all you need is this one book to be able to do it. So that's why books are so fantastic for teaching them these things. So when you're reading your book to your child, you are always going to talk about the title first and use that vocabulary word with them. Say to your little one, the title of our book is Goodnight Moon. And make sure you're using your finger to underline the word so that they start to recognize that these symbols here actually have meaning. Their eyes, when they're younger, are going to go directly to the pictures. If you underline the words, then they will put some focus on those letters as well. And then when you read Goodnight Moon, you can say to your little one, Goodnight Moon starts with the letter G. Do you see here that that letter is called G, and G makes the sound G, G. There, do you see how I'm pointing out the name of the letter and then giving them the sound that goes with it? So you can do the same thing with moon. You can say moon starts with the letter M. Exactly, and goes M, 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 moon. So they start to hear how these items here, these little symbols, have names and have a sound that goes with it. You can talk about the cover before you even open the book. You know, sharing a book with your child doesn't necessarily mean that you have to read every single page and every word right in that moment. If you only have a few minutes, even just talking to them about the cover or just focusing on a few of the pages is a really great way to still give them all of these skills that they need. So you can talk about, oh my goodness, look here, I see a window, just like the one in your room. Connect it to their own life. That's really important. It will make the story more meaningful for them. There's a moon, just like the moon we saw last night. There's a green wall. I see a cow over there. Little ones love to learn the names of animals as some of their first vocabulary and the sounds they make. You can even say, oh, a cow goes moo as it's jumping over the moon. And you can even tell your little one the name of the person who wrote the book. And the name of the person who wrote this book, the author, is Margaret Wise Brown. And the pictures are by Clement Hurd. It's great to start giving them that vocabulary, like the word author, right away, as early as you can. So we'll turn to the first page, and when you get to a page with words, Mom, it's up to you. You can talk about the picture and then read the words, or you can read the words and then talk about the picture. So maybe you'll share with your little one, oh my goodness, I see so many neat things on this page. Look, here's that green wall again. Lots of green. Repeat the name of that color over and over so it really will stick in their head. You need to repeat things over and over again for it to really solidify. Repetition is super important, right? And then you can talk about the objects here. Oh, I see a comb. Tell them why we use it. We use a comb to brush our hair, just like the comb Mommy uses for your few little hairs that you have on your head there. Here's a lamp, just like the lamp we have in our bedroom. And look, there's a blanket, just like your little blankie. Yours is blue, and this one is pink, but you have one that looks almost like that. And the little rabbit is in a bed. So there's so many different items that you can talk about. And then again, when you decide to read the words, you're gonna underline them so that your baby will focus on those words. In the great green room, there was a telephone. There's the telephone, and a red balloon. There's that balloon. And a picture of, you can ask your baby questions too. Even though they're not able to answer, you can say, oh, I wonder what's gonna be on the next page. What is the picture gonna be on the next page? Let's turn and find out. Just to get your little one used to what a question sounds like and a response sounds like. That's really important for kindergarten. They need to be able to answer questions in full sentences and be able to ask questions on their own too. So that's a great skill to give them right now. Look, it's the cow jumping over the moon. And there were 3 little bears sitting on chairs. You can count with your little one, give them number vocabulary. Look at 1, 2, 3 bears on those 3 chairs. And there's that silly cow again. Moo, he says as he jumps over that moon. Lots of great things to talk about, and ask your baby again, or what's gonna happen next? Who's gonna be on the next page? Look at that big room, and 2 little kittens and a pair of mittens. So remember, Mom, I told you how rhyming was really important? This would be a time that you would focus on that. You're going to say those rhyming words a few times with your little one. You're going to say, oh, listen, kittens, mittens, kittens, mittens. Those words rhyme. They sound the same. You could even make up some silly nonsense words that also rhyme with them just to really emphasize the concept of rhyming. Kittens, mittens, vittens, chittens, dittens, words that don't even, fittens, perfect, exactly. The important thing about rhyming is not even that it's a real word, but that your little one understands what rhyming is, and that they can then, when they go to kindergarten, make up rhyming pairs of their own. That's really important. And a little toy house and a young mouse. House, mouse, those rhyme. You can go through the whole page, again, talk about those colors, there's so many of them, and talk about, items, there's a clock. We have a clock in our house to tell us when it's time to go to bed. Oh, and a comb, and a brush, and a bowl full of mush. Explain to them what mush is, even though they're little. Give them more words by telling them what mush is. Mush is kind of like the cereal you eat, the oatmeal you eat. It's sticky. It is soupy. You can stir it. Give them lots of vocabulary as you explain what mush actually is. And a quiet old lady who is whispering, hush. Change your voice when you're reading. Your baby's really going to respond to that. They're also really going to respond to your facial expressions. So show a lot of emotion when you read this book with them. That's really going to get their attention. And here, this is a great part of the book. They say, good night, room. Say good night to the whole room. And then the book continues and says, good night, moon. And the whole book says good night to all of the items in the room. This is a really great routine to start with your little one. So when you get ready to go to bed, you sit down with them, you share this book with them, and then sit with them and say good night to all of the objects in the room. It starts a really fun routine for them. You're giving them lots of vocabulary, which again is something they need to be ready for kindergarten, by pointing out all of the objects, saying good night to them, and pretty soon as they become a toddler, they'll be able to chime in and say good night to all of those things with you. Okay, so thank you so much for coming to the lesson today. I really am glad that you had a chance to learn about Goodnight Moon, and that you can use a lot of these skills and activities with your little one and read this book every single day. Okay?
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.